President Trump is calling it economic gold, an economic gold mine. President Trump doesn't speak that way, of course. The White House is taking another step in the push to boost America's stockpile of rare earth minerals, announcing an executive order to unblock construction of the 211-mile Ambler Road, a major mining project in Alaska, reversing a Biden-era decision to shut it down. And we rejoice. I'm going to you first. You're in the
Look, I'm a tech guy that's converted to oil and gas and commodities, and I think, look, drill baby drill is now mine baby mine, and I think it's critical now that the U.S., instead of villainizing these industries, is now embracing them as strategic national security assets, and it's what we need to do. And the key thing here to remember, unlike other things in the tech world where you can flip a switch and it activates it and comes online right away, these things take time to bring online. So this has got to be a, similar to the Chinese that think in decades and centuries, the U.S. needs to think in decades and centuries of securing their critical assets, whether it's oil and gas, critical minerals. 100% of the refining happens in China, so we need to focus on that as well. It's not just the mining, but the refining.
Larry always says, McDowell, glass half empty. But I will say this. I might bitch and moan about the deficit, and all of that is important.
Zero
the interest, right?
Zero sum.
Right.
Root canal. What's good? Yeah. It leads to root canal without Novocaine.
But none of
zero
that,
sum. If something's good for something, it's got to be bad for something else.
So none of that, none of my bitching and moaning matters because of this, because of the growth that is being driven by tech and artificial intelligence, and President Trump is hammered down on driving that innovation. And it all stems from mining and energy production and laying the foundation for us to prosper in terms of technology and artificial intelligence. Continue, Larry.
How are you on this 10% stake in Trilogy Metals?
That's where I thought she was going. It was
I already mentioned it.
Well here, and then you had to throw that out there. Come on.
No, I already mentioned it, but that's small potatoes.
Yes.
This is the big picture.
That's right. You're right. You're right.
And you know what? Cabinet secretaries can be fired.
Can I make a comment, though, on the positive side, the rare earth,
Yes.
the Ambler Road, which is a fabulous thing. And the Bidens did everything they could to basically stop Alaska from producing anything. Just what the name of the governor? The 6'7". He's one of
Dunleavy, isn't it?
Dunleavy.
It's Mike. Yeah.
Anyway, he's terrific. So they stopped him cold. But I do want to say with rare earths, you've got a lot of rare earths in the far west. You've got, in Montana and Wyoming and so forth. You've also got fabulous rare earths in the what we used to call the Iron Range in Lake Superior, Minnesota. Yep. And that stuff should all and here's where the key reform is: the permitting is so important. Okay, you talk to anybody who knows that business, and we did the best we could. We had an executive order in the first term that came out of the NEC, but we could never get it legislated. But permitting is everything, and you've got to do it as fast as possible. And and Doug Burgum knows this very well. He's a terribly smart guy. But this is the key point. Everybody's got to get together and get these permits, and don't let them go on forever. And that one federal decision was the general heading that we had, meaning find somebody in the White House. Like I say, in the first term, it was in the National Economic Council. Find somebody in the White House, a person who collects all the receipts from everybody involved in these agencies, and let that person coordinate and get it done in 6 months, not 6 years or 10 years. And then you can, these things will pop up pretty damn fast.
Yeah, really I agree with that. I mean, we operate in Colorado, and the permitting there is the major drag. There was a regulatory.
Of course.
Versus Texas and the Permian, where you can get a permit by going down to the corner store. Right. So you make it easy, you get prolific production. You make it difficult, you get static.
I like you.
Well, this was a
permit. Absolutely terrific.
This was a permit for a road. This wasn't even, they weren't even trying to deny a permit for a mine. They were trying to deny a permit for a road. That's how against development of our resources the Biden administration was. It's a long road, but it's a road to get to the mine. And if you don't have one of those, you can't do a mine.
No, and I see this as an expansion of his drill baby drill and his energy policy and deregulation and open up the federal lands. And this includes
So why is gold going up?
minerals and resources.
I don't
Dagan, why is
understand.
gold going up?
This is all right. This is all good. It's pro-growth. It's going to help everybody in the country. I just don't understand the
Just
gold
own it.
play.
Don't ask questions, right? That's what we're supposed
Why
to
do
do.
you suppose gold's going up?
In 30 seconds.
Because there's a bubble in every imaginable asset.
Really? Biotech, there's not.
Not bad.
Not in healthcare. But everywhere else, there's a lot of frothiness, I would
That and treasuries, not a bubble.
If I will say this, it's funny. Now that we've decided to talk about
There's a
gold,
bubble in corporate debt.
We did?
if you think the gold bubble has anything to do with a weak dollar or a lack of confidence in the dollar, okay? I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm just hypothesizing, if you do. Or if you think, as some do, that gold is 4,000 because there's an big inflation bump coming. You should ask. I mean, it always interested me. The administration and many economists want lower interest rates, even though you could make a case that the 12-month change in the inflation indexes is still a point over target. I don't regard this as a major thing, and because the GDP deflator in the second quarter was 2.1. But if you believe that, it wouldn't be bad if the Treasury Secretary came out and said something good about the dollar, not just that the dollar should be the world's reserve currency, which is a bit abstract, and I think part of it is a revolt against that right now, right? Because we
Yes.
took the money from
Sure.
Russia and all the rest of it. But the dollar, he'd like to see a solid, resilient, stable, reliable, dependable. There are a lot of really good adjectives and adverbs. Haven't heard that in a while.
Treasury secretaries do that from time to time.
That is
don't they?
correct.
From time to
It is
time.
their remit, by the way. It is not the Federal Reserve's remit. The currency policy is the Treasury's remit, and the basis of that remit is something called the Exchange Stabilization Fund, ESF.
Yes.
And
I
it
concur.
wouldn't be a bad thing to say that and see if that stopped the gold rally. Just saying, just a thought, just a crazy ass thought.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm go greenback.